On Wednesday, former President Donald Trump came to Michigan to speak to striking union members and managed to avoid actually speaking to striking union members. That's right. Now, Trump's speech took place at a non-unionized auto parts supplier called Drake Enterprises. Not non-union. So, and not striking. According to ABC News reporting, many of the attendees at Trump's speech were Drake Enterprise workers. Some were UAW workers, but very few said that they were actually on strike. So now, are there UAW members, union members that are Republicans that are pro-Trump? Yes, of course. Yes, there are. I'm not entirely sure why, but nonetheless, and I'm gonna explain that, by the way, why I don't quite understand, and it's gonna basically be, I'm gonna talk about Trump's record on that. So now, according to the Detroit News, which sent at least one report to cover the event, noted several attendees were holding up fake signs. Now, one of them, who was holding a Union Members for Trump sign, admitted that she actually isn't in a union. Kind of funny. And another holding an Auto Workers for Trump sign said he wasn't an auto worker. Wow. Again, that makes me think of the Blacks for Trump, except that there were no actual black people that were wearing the shirts. These were all white people wearing shirts that said Blacks for Trump. I mean, and again, it's not that there aren't black Trump supporters. There are very, very few of them, but they exist. And so, again, can't even find union members that support Trump because, well, obviously, since it's at a non-union shop, of course they're not going to find any there. Look, here's the thing. Everything about Trump, just hilariously fake. I mean, fake tan, fake hair, fake news, all fake. According to reports, by the way, in total, the indoor event drew about 400 to 500 Trump supporters, which, again, it's noted in the news reports the company has a workforce of about 150, again, non-unionized workers. But again, it's not just fake union members that are the issue here. It's also just Trump's overall fake support for working people. In fact, here are some of his statements. Take a look.
Before I stepped into the political arena 7 years ago, I spent my whole life working alongside of Americans just like you. Spent a lot of time with you. You just don't know that, but I spent a lot of time with you and people just like you. Biden's cruel and ridiculous electrical. Think of this. He wants electric vehicle mandates that will spell the death of the U.S. auto industry. You know, it doesn't matter. I watch it, you're negotiating a contract, you're all on picket lines and everything, but it doesn't make a damn bit of difference what you get, because in 2 years you're all going to be out of business. You're not getting anything. What they're doing to the auto industry in Michigan and throughout the country is absolutely horrible and ridiculous.
Of all the lies, I'm going to point out one of the dumbest ones, okay? I worked along people just like you, right alongside them. What? Look, obviously Donald Trump's never worked in an assembly line. Very obvious. Soft hands. Very soft. Now, here's the thing. I have worked on an assembly line. I know. I have actually worked at 2 different auto parts manufacturing plants. One of them was a unionized shop. The other one was a non-unionized shop. And let me tell you, there is a world of difference between the two. Turns out the non-unionized shop kind of sucked. Whereas the unionized shop, I actually got paid better and had better pay and better benefits once I was actually in the union. And so, weird. It's almost as if, unions are actually better for workers. I know. Now, here's the thing. Unions, and that is, okay, let me just start over here. Trump is a boss. And I don't mean that in a good way. He is management. And so what does management not want you to have? A union. I think that's fairly obvious. So I don't understand how any union guys could see Trump as anything other than penny pinching management. Because that's what he is. This is the guy who gets all the bean counters to take as much from you as they can. And of course, what they take from you, they put back in their own pocket. That's Donald Trump. So of course, that's why Donald Trump's also dumping on the strikes and and then spreading all these lies about the auto industry being killed under Biden. Again, I'm going to give you the numbers here. But people like him, of course, hate it when workers get together collectively as a union to exercise their power. So look, Trump himself, anti-union, right? His administration has had a lot of anti-union decisions as a result of course, the people that he put into those places. During Trump's term, for example, the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, that he appointed, made it more difficult for unions to win representation in non-union workplaces, extended the time between when a union files for representation to when an election is held, thus granting management, of course, more time to campaign against the union with its employees, which happened, of course, in the Amazon warehouses. Now, the Trump Supreme Court, again, this is also because Trump took very, very right-wing Heritage Foundation members and put them into the Supreme Court. They issued a ruling against public sector unions, which represent almost as many union members found at private businesses. So that's a massive blow against unions. And of course, the Biden administration has, rolled back a lot of these changes, but still. Now, let's go to how that affected jobs, right? Now, Trump goes around claiming that he created auto jobs during his administration, and the Biden administration is now destroying them. Well, let's get to the numbers. During his term, Michigan lost 1,900 auto manufacturing jobs, or about 4% of the total. But this is between February 2017, just after Trump took office, through February of 2020. So that's very important because that does not cover the time that, there was the pandemic, okay? This was just before the start of the pandemic. Okay, so it doesn't really count. And by the way, it wouldn't be fair. So now, while Trump was president from 2017 to 2021, Ford's engine plant in Romeo shuttered, GM shuttered a transmission plant in Warren, a powertrain plant in Baltimore, and closed its Lordstown, Ohio assembly plant, one of the ones that he promised to keep open. Stellantis, formerly Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, opened a new Jeep plant on Detroit's east side while idling its Mount Elliott tool and die plant. So now for Biden, okay, so that's Trump's record. It's not great. Very, very anti-union decisions, a lot of them, and of course a lot of closures and job losses. So what about Biden's record? Well, so far, honestly, he's mixed. And here's why I say that. Obviously, Biden has helped crush the rail strike because he had the federal ability to do so. So he used his federal powers to crush a union. So to crush a potential strike. That's not good. Now, in the UAW, obviously, he doesn't have that power to do that, right? And for the moment, he seems to be siding with the workers. He went and, he was the first sitting president to go on the picket line. I'm going to give him credit for that, right? That said, let's get to the numbers. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the state, Michigan, gained 1,800 auto jobs from February 2021, Biden's first month in office, through February of this year. So it's pretty much almost like mirror reversal of the jobs lost under Trump pre-pandemic. Now we're post-pandemic, and those jobs, just about the same number of them, have returned. Interesting. So now let's look at the companies themselves, right? Again, Trump claims, they're out of business. They're not going to be there in 2 years. They're going to be all shut down. Oh, really? What happened? I mean, you would expect that they're doing terribly in their financials, right? No, it turns out the big three have record profits. I'm not kidding. Forecasts for 2023 expect more than $32 billion in additional profits for the big three auto manufacturers. In 2022, they collectively posted $37 billion in profits. In 2021, $31 billion in profits. I mean, it doesn't really sound like Biden has destroyed the auto industry, does it? No. Now, that said, if you are a worker, you haven't seen any improvement in your wages. You didn't see it under Trump, and you're not seeing it under Biden, which is why the union is on strike. Look, over the past 4 years of the now expired UAW contract, vehicle prices increased 30%, so they're 30% more expensive. CEO pay increased 40%, so CEO is getting paid more, while worker pay only increased about 6%. So now, of course, that can go all the way back to 2008, where you had the auto industry that was bailed out by the government, and during that time, a lot of the workers took pay cuts. They changed their pension system, all that stuff. So they gave up a lot in order to ensure that in the short term, that the companies gained enough to be profitable again. And then with the promise, of course, that they will eventually get those benefits back. Has that happened? No, they haven't gotten anything back. They're still operating as if they're in crisis mode after the 2008. And so they're not. They're super, super profitable, so they can actually afford to be able to pay their workers. And look, over the same period of time, these companies had $31 billion in dividends and stock buybacks. That's money that could have went to the workers, that they could afford to do dividends and stock buybacks. So understand that this is not Joe Biden. It's not even really about EVs, which do play a part in this. But in reality, the bigger portion of this is corporate greed. Because of course. Now, here's what Nathan Stempel, president of Drake Enterprises, who, by the way, was one who invited Donald Trump to come and speak, so he's super excited about this. He even admitted that the transition to EVs is not even his top cause of worry. He said the toughest obstacle for his company right now is finding the right workers. Now, he does say of moving to EVs, it would definitely affect us if it changed like a light switch. But I don't see it happening. Oh, that's because it's not happening. Look, what I know about Joe Biden, and by the way, it's one of my criticisms of him in the Democrats, is that they're very incrementalist. So they're not going to make these, wide, sweeping, abrupt changes, even if the situation might require that, which I think climate change is existential, and so it might need some sweeping changes. But that's not the direction that Biden is going. So it's, they're allowing for oh, no, take your time. Yes, we're going to have these standards by like 2040 or something like that, 2035. Take your time. You'll have plenty of time to ramp up this production and switch over, change over, etc. And again, it is a legitimate concern because, the switch to EVs means going from, for example, more complicated, combustion engines to a more simpler design involving batteries. So that is the situation that they're going to have to work out internally in these companies. But as I said before, it's not like they can't afford to do that. Now, that said, for Trump, pretty obvious that he's not pro-worker, he's not pro-union, and what he's trying to do is trying to gaslight people. And now, at least, the head of the UAW, President Sean Fain, not falling for it. He's a smart guy. He called Trump someone who, quote, serves the billionaire class, which is true, and slammed his appearance at a non-unionized facility as a, quote unquote, pathetic irony. I love it. I find it odd that he's going to go to a non-union business to talk to union workers, Fain added of Trump's visit. I don't think he gets it. True. Despite what he says, not exactly a very stable genius. Okay. But a really good con man. So that said, he's got strong criticism for Trump, obviously. But Fain also hasn't endorsed Biden either. Neither's the UAW. Why is that? Well, it's because he wants Joe Biden to work for it. And I think that's the right way to go, honestly. I think the Democrats have taken unions for granted, have taken labor for granted, and has not delivered as well for labor as they should have. I think they've delivered more for corporations, along with Republicans. Democrats and Republicans tend to team up more often than not to help corporations. And so I actually like the demands of the union, of the UAW, and the withholding of an endorsement until Biden, again, does some concrete policy wins for labor. As I said, a lot of what he's been doing lately has been rolling back more of Trump's disastrous changes, and I think it's good, and I think that's necessary. But there also needs to be more, and I think going and actually speaking on the picket line, and that's something that Obama promised and never did. Well, at least Biden puts his money where his mouth is, and actually showed up on the picket line. But I think it's going to take a little bit more than that, and so I think that any presidential, candidate should obviously have to work for the endorsement of these unions, and then of course follow it up if they end up getting into office. I think that's the only way to really have labor, or one of the main ways to have labor actually hold our presidential candidates accountable for the things that they do. Now, that said, that's going to actually involve actual work, and so already we know Donald Trump ain't going to do it. He's just going to go and give gaslighting speeches and lie to people because he's a con man. As simple as that.